but he just still works incredibly hard. I visited him recently as well, and I think I think I left around midnight, and he was still going. I think he must have gone till 2 a.m. or something like that. So I don't know anybody who works as hard as him.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody who not only works as hard as he does, but works how he does.
Yeah.
It just is such an unusual cadence.
Tremendous focus, and he's really in the technical details of it. When he bought Twitter and did that transition, I got to see him work in a different way because it had been like 20 years. And I think, what I saw him do was really get to the bottom of the technology. I think he spent about a month like really drilling into every system in the company, and I could see him kind of putting together his mental model of how the whole thing worked, and eventually he had the whole thing in his head, and then he felt like he could manage it in the way that he wanted.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. I think that's a timely reminder ahead of voting season. And Yoon Tasai, Tesla engineer, said, "I don't think anyone on this planet is working as hard as Elon. His working schedule is not for mere mortals, and most of the time he works with zero pay and high uncertainty. Sometimes I wonder how this kind of human exists." From someone who is in the trenches with Elon. Over the weekend, AI Driver was advocating for a wider release of 14.1.2, to which Elon said 14.2 for widespread use. Realistically, at this point, this could mean this upcoming weekend, so a week or so, or it could mean a few weeks from here. Then, as of this afternoon, we have 14.1.3 now rolling out to the early access group. And as TeslaScope shared, 14.1.3 is now expanding to additional customers in a new wave. This is the first time any V14 build has gone out to customers outside of an early access group. So definitely not a wide release, but a bit wider. By the time today's video goes out, there won't be enough video footage to really understand the differences with 14.1.3, but as of Tuesday and beyond, we'll start to get an idea of how fast the quirks that remain with version 14 are being worked out. And in case you did not get to watch Jordan Kamina's entire video in Manhattan with 14.1.2, we have to share at least a few clips because it was some of the most entertaining highlights I've seen. And Ashok said, for those who are still skeptical of using cameras and neural nets to drive the car, this video is the antithesis.
I would love to see it accidentally get stuck in the crosswalk and then back
out,
which is something that I saw someone do it too.
Yep.
That'd be so crazy if you could do that. It's either got to go
left.
On the left, or it's got to go on the right.
It automatically turns on the right indicator, but
it put the left.
Yeah, it turns on the right one, and now
the light changed.
And we're probably can't see that light because of this, because I can see that light from here.
This is a crazy. Oh yeah, you can't see it.
Yeah,
I can see it fine.
Okay, so with the camera, we have to decide.
Oh, it's doing exactly what I wanted.
Wow!
Yes, it's clearing the intersection.
Wow! And it gives space to pedestrians perfectly.
So perfect.
Oh my goodness. This is the first time I experienced.
Do you like how we literally talked about how it's going to happen? Okay, so now the light is green.
The light is green.
So it's got to pick a way. It's going to go around this side, which is the right decision based on the lane that we're in. Oh, so smooth.
So smooth.
That's so cool.
There's a bicyclist behind me too.
Oh, it's moving right back into the middle lane because this car's parked.
This car parked.
This is a ridiculously complicated scenario we just went through. The main hesitancy with the brake stabbing is like it thinks so hard about like not killing someone who's crossing the street that it just is a little bit extra careful.
Continuously now slow construction.
This is really a scary little area.
The bus is going very slow, giving time and everything.
This is crazy.
It's probably following the bus lane mark, as you can see. There is a waved right over here, and our car is going.
I gave the guy a thumbs up.
Yeah.
He looked back, probably sees the camera on the roof and is like, what? Oh, we're getting a stop sign.
Very good.
Oh, we're actually getting every single possible scenario.
Scenarios here, right over here.
Oh, this is gonna be such a ridiculously like heavy clipped video. Slow.
Waved, perfectly done. Giving a space to the cop to get in.
Yeah. I'm off the lane.
And it knows it's just gonna go.
Wow. Oh my God. Is it gonna get right back in the right lane?
Yeah, turning on the indicator right away.
This is gonna be an unbelievable
now,
video to
like
watch.
I can tell you now, like after using this one in Manhattan, because I probably filmed over 1 hour last month with FSD 13.
Yeah.
This is much better.
Much better.
Much better
Yes.
compared to FSD 13 in city.
To the
It
side.
knows that there is a yellow cab.
It should go to
so-
the left
Yes,
because there's a yellow cab over here,
bicycle.
but there's also a
Yes.
yellow cab that's in the right lane.
Exactly.
That's so crazy.
It
And then it's
is.
got to get all the way over to the
Immediately.
right lane.
Because of that car double parked.
Oh
Immediately
my
moving again.
God.
Look at that.
So you get the picture. The full video will be linked below. I've had moments of frustration, like some of you wanting to play with version 14, but think of it like this. If you were painting the Mona Lisa to sell, you would not want potential buyers to walk in while you still had some brush strokes to finish up. And in Tesla's case, of course, it's always safety first. But hopefully Tesla will do another round of free FSD for 30 days when version 14 goes wide in an attempt to up the adoption rate. From that perspective, you don't want any instances, ideally, where the supervisor gets spooked by brake stabbing thanks to the extra caution around pedestrians, etc. So for me, I'm expecting a wider release of 14.2 for AI4 owners sometime in the first 2 weeks of November. That's just a blind prediction. I have no inside information. Some good photography advice. Andrew McCarthy said, always shoot in RAW. Your camera is capable of more than you think. Yoon Tasai shared that saying, imagine the same technique applied to AVs. Human eyes are not capable of capturing the details of the frosty airflow of the super heavy cryogenic tank and 33 Raptor engine ignition at the same time. They'll be blind. But modern camera sensors can. That's exactly why we feed raw, aka photon count, directly to our networks, which I thought was a nice foreshadowing of the superhuman driving that will be proliferating the planet in the 2030s and beyond. Now, some people are upset. Tesla said supervised FSD subscriptions are now available in Australia and New Zealand. From basic autopilot to FSD, it's about 150 Australian dollars, and for EAP to FSD, it's about 75. But this is being offered to Hardware 3 owners that may already own enhanced autopilot, and their upgrade, meaning if they pay for this $75 per month subscription, still does not actually include city street driving, which is a core part of FSD. But of course, the main frustration is Tesla has not given a clear timeline for an FSD update for Hardware 3 owners. I've covered this a few times already, but to make it clear, if Tesla knew how the timeline was going to play out for when they'll solve unsupervised on AI4, and then how long it would take to quantize that model to fit it on Hardware 3, Tesla would share that. But the thing is, Tesla doesn't even know the answer yet. They have shared as much information as they can right now by letting Hardware 3 owners know when they have more data, they will make sure you guys are taken care of. Until then, you just have to be patient. Over the weekend, Andre Karpathy did a 2-hour plus podcast with Dwarkesh Patel. Very enjoyable interview in my opinion, especially if you're interested in AI. But here are some quick clips of Andre talking about autonomy.
So perfect Waymo drive a decade ago. Took us around Palo Alto and so on, because I had a friend who worked there. And I thought it was like very close, and then still took a long time. And I do think that there's for some kinds of tasks and jobs and so on, there's a very large demo to product gap where the demo is very easy, but the product is very hard. And it's especially the case in cases like self-driving where the cost of failure is too high. Right? Many industries, tasks, and jobs maybe don't have that property, but when you do have that property, that definitely increases the timelines. And then I think basically what takes the long amount of time, and the way to think about it is that it's a march of nines, and every single nine is a constant amount of work. So every single nine is the same amount of work. So when you get a demo and something works 90% of the time, that's just the first nine. And then you need the second nine, and third nine, fourth nine, fifth nine. And while I was at Tesla for, was it 5 years or so, I think we went through maybe 3 nines, 2 nines, I don't know what it is, but like multiple nines of iteration. There's still more nines to go. And so that's why these things take so long. And so it's definitely formative for me, like seeing something that was a demo. I'm very unimpressed by demos. So whenever I see demos of anything, I'm extremely unimpressed by that. It works better if you can, if it's a demo that someone cooked up and is just showing you, it's worst. If you can interact with it, it's a bit better. But even then, you're not done. You need actual product. It's going to face all these challenges when it comes in contact with reality and all these different pockets of behavior that need patching. And so I think we're going to see all this stuff play out. It's a march of nines. Each nine is constant. Demos are encouraging. Still a huge amount of work to do.
That right there is precisely why I keep downplaying these product demos from companies like Figure and even Tesla to some degree. Yes, Teslas are a bit more organic most of the time, but I think this is a crucial sentiment to keep in mind as we head into 2026.
Self-driving cars are nowhere near done still. So even though, so the deployments still are pretty minimal, right? So even Waymo and so on has very few cars, and they're doing that roughly speaking because they're not economical, right? Because they've built something that lives in the future, and so they had to like pull back future, but they had to make it uneconomical. So they have all these like, there's all these costs, not just marginal costs for those cars and their operation and maintenance, but also the capex of the entire thing. So making it economical is still going to be a slog, I think, for them. And then also, I think when you look at these cars and there's no one driving. I also think it's a little bit deceiving because there are actually very elaborate teleoperation centers of people actually kind of like in a loop with these cars. There's more human in a loop that you might expect. And there's people somewhere out there basically beaming in from the sky. And in some sense, we haven't actually removed the person. We've like moved them to somewhere where you can't see them. I still think there will be some work, as you mentioned, going from environment to environment. And so I think like there's still challenges to make self-driving real. But I do agree that it's definitely crossed a threshold where it kind of feels real. I just think that people, again, are sometimes a little bit too naive about some of the progress, and I still think there's a huge amount of work. And I think Tesla took, in my mind, a lot more scalable approach. Yeah. And I think the team is doing extremely well and is going to, and I'm kind of like on the record for predicting how this thing will go, which is like Waymo had like early start because you can package up so many sensors. But I do think Tesla is taking the more scalable strategy and is going to look a lot more like that. So I think this will have to still play out and hasn't.
I know many people, myself included, like to say that autonomy is here. And to some degree, it is. But I think it's important to remember that the work of Tesla going from a few dozen robotaxis to millions is going to require another few nines to be solved. But most importantly, Andre still thinks Tesla has the superior scalable approach. And while we have crossed the threshold to where it feels like FSD is here for many people following it closely, the real light switch moment is going to be unsupervised, and that inflection point is not quite here yet. But we are indeed closer than ever. The Cybertruck guy shared the Tesla app now shows recommended maintenance. It gives you preliminary pricing, tells you what's already overdue, and will suggest some others to keep in mind for the future, as well as suggested dates for that maintenance item. And further, each one you click on will give you a bit more detailed information. Update your app, and then to find it, go to Request Service and then select Maintenance. Also in the app, Tesla has a new tire center that helps you find the right tires for your vehicle. After selecting your tire size, you're given options that can be purchased and installed by Tesla. It's only available in select regions so far, but it can be found under Service and then Tire Center. For what it's worth, I've updated my app and still do not have access to this one. Tesla shared a post calling out the nonsense of institutional shareholder services and Glass Lewis, the proxy advisory firms that we've talked about in the past. Refresher, the companies that earn their revenue primarily from subscription fees that are charged to institutional investors to get proxy voting advice. So laughably, they position themselves as impartial guardians of these governance standards, even when their recommendations go against board of directors and/or shareholder votes. Good news, Tesla said the shortcomings of these proxy advisors are echoed by state and federal officials who are scrutinizing ISS and Glass Lewis's practices, including by implementing laws that require that their recommendations be based on the financial interests of shareholders, implying a failure to do so in the past and presently. Just sharing this as a periodic reminder to please take the time to vote your shares. Contact your broker if you need help. We don't have too much time left before the shareholder meeting, and it's critical you make your voice heard. Now, Romain, who actually used to work at Tesla, was complaining a bit about Elon's new incentive package. The gist of it, he thinks it's overpaying for Elon and that other competent CEOs could grow Tesla just as much with way less political drama and cost investors much less than this proposal. You guys know, I think that's a load of hogwash. Elon is the only man on the planet that has figured out a way to make EVs profitably without incentives and to have self-driving cars with cameras cameras only when pretty much everyone in the West is saying LiDAR is needed? Or how about finding me another CEO that's willing to take outsized bet the company moves on autonomy and robots for a company with a $1 trillion valuation? I'll just tell you, he doesn't exist. No one has Elon's engineering talent, AI recruiting talent, and vision and/or track record. Period. Full stop. Which is why Elon replied to Romain saying Tesla's worth more than all other auto companies combined. Which of those CEOs would you like to run Tesla? It won't be me. And James Stevenson put this so beautifully. He said to reach any of the 12 tranches in Elon's new incentive package, Elon would need to grow Tesla's market cap by $600 billion, literally an order of magnitude more than any other auto CEO has in 50 years. And here's the chart to go with it. Now, yes, we know Tesla is not a car company. They are now more so an AI and tech company, and for those in the know, have been for some time. But as we know, plenty of people still define Tesla as just a car company, which means with that worldview, they would have to come to terms with this chart. It's the top 5 automaker CEOs by market cap growth during their tenure for the past 50 years. People like to say extraordinary outcomes require extraordinary evidence, and I like to say extraordinary outcomes warrant extraordinary compensation. Over the weekend, some news broke that Tesla was hiring for Cybercab positions in Austin. Initially, it was only 3 positions, but fast forward just a few days and we're now up to 6 positions. Mostly equipment technicians, a metrology technician, and a tool and die supervisor for injection molding, and equipment engineer for plastics. And a metrology technician is just someone in quality assurance focused on the precision and measurement when it comes to calibration. Tesla was hiring for positions like this for the Cybertruck about 7 months or so before the Cybertruck launch event. So if you wanted to say that Tesla's on track for Cybercab start of production in May 2026, feel free. But remember, this is the first iteration of the unboxed method. It's likely going to take Tesla longer than we think to work out the details and the kinks, and to fine-tune this new method. And remember, Elon said, if you've seen the design of the Cybercab line, it does not look like a normal car manufacturing line. It looks like a really high-speed consumer electronics line. In fact, the line will move so fast, people can't even get close to it. I think it'll be able to produce a car ultimately in less than 5 seconds. Per the usual, I'm going to keep my expectations low when it comes to Cybercab production, but it's certainly encouraging to see that the hiring ramp for production is underway. As Joe Tetmeyer said over the weekend, he saw a Cybercab test vehicle driving on the South River Road and on the west side. He said it's the first one he's seen driving here in some time. There's not a whole lot to take away from the video other than it was moving quite slowly, but if you freeze the frame here, you can get a sense of the size of the Cybercab relative to other vehicles. I'm sure there's at least a bit of distortion given the lens and the angle, but you can see the white Model Y behind it. It really makes the Cybercab look incredibly small. And we know Tesla is continually making improvements to every aspect of this design, so it'll be a slow few months as we await early production, but it's going to be worth the wait as Tesla's first principles design for autonomy. Max from Tesla said 80% of all fast charging energy in North America flows through Tesla superchargers, and superchargers are around 30% cheaper on a $1 per kilowatt hour basis, despite having the largest site size, average of 12 stalls, in order to shoulder peak travel days. Imagine what EV adoption would look like without superchargers. I think that's an awesome stat to commit to memory. 80% of all fast charging energy in North America flows through Tesla superchargers. And Sawyer shared this that said in Q3 of this year, Tesla deployed 1,820 new DCFC ports, meaning the market share of new ports in Q3 was about 45% for Tesla. In second place was ChargePoint with 300. And rounding out the top 5, it was Ready, Electrify America, and then EV Connect. So per the usual, it's still Tesla and then the rest. And I am old enough to remember when many people were saying that Tesla's supercharger network was doomed because of all of the supercharger layoffs. Well, here we are over a year later, and that could not be further from the truth. Another fun fact, Tesla said now 10,000 plus supercharger stalls in California. Further, Supercharge.info said most impressively, over 2,000 of those stalls were added in just the last 12 months. Franz was on the Ride the Lightning podcast again. Typically in these interviews, he doesn't give us a lot of new information, but there were a few quick takeaways.
It's seemingly being utilized for FSD to make the autonomous driving experience better.
Sure.
It's nice just as a convenience when you're parking in your garage or at a curb stop. So can we please get a paid, no, it's not expecting anything free here, a retrofit for those of us with new Model 3, new Model S, new Model X that want to pay you money to have that front bumper camera, because my car is less than a year old. Franz, please.
I will talk to Lars.
You got to make this happen for me.
All right.
You're like the number 2 guy in the company.
We'll see what we can do, for sure.
This was Franz on the Model Y L.
I mean, I think, we still have a third row vehicle here with Model X. I think, again, like the Model Y is really successful as it is right now, and just adding that extra pain point at the moment maybe makes the right sense, maybe doesn't. We're still looking at it.
Should we be on the lookout for the 7-seat Y soonish?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Oh, classic Franz Dodge. Once this most epic product demo ever that your boss talked about happens, is that still this year, or can you give an update on when we can expect to see this?
We're planning on this year, yeah.
Great. Okay, that makes me feel good. So once that demo happens, what's the timeline for that car after that? Like, is there kind of a unofficial 18 to 24 month? Is it going to be more?
We'll move more quickly into having saleable product than we did last summer.
Well, can I pin you down any further than that? Within 2 years of this next?
Definitely within 2 years.
Okay, that's that. Because we're coming up on, I told Lars this,
I know.
We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of the original Roadster. 2027 would be good. He just
Good things comes to those who wait.
Can we expect the new Roadster to have its own complete unique set of paint options?
I think that's doable.
Good.
I'm excited to just showcase the new Roadster for a lot of different reasons, and I think the wait will be worth it.
Are you going to be doing more with the Cybertruck platform?
I think this is maybe we've set a precedent beyond what we expected. Anything that comes out of the studio is going into production, and we are constantly looking at all sorts of iterations and ideas for all of our products.
Yeah,
a lot of those never see the light of day. A lot of them are, good ideas. They go on a shelf. Maybe they surface, maybe they don't. So that was some exploration that we had done years ago, and we'll see.
Speaking of the Model Y L, it turned out to be China's 4th best-selling mid to large SUV for the month of September, selling 8,221 units for September, the first full month. And remember, the first week this vehicle was delivered was the first week of September, so most of the month it was still early in the ramp. So it's early, but Chinese media is saying the Model Y L has the makings of a bestseller. The Financial Times, which has certainly had some suspect journalism on Tesla as of late, said Tesla's quietly built a leading position in the UK's mega battery market. Tesla not only supplies large-scale batteries to plant developers, but also trades the power generated by them. Tesla's batteries perform the best in terms of revenue in an increasingly competitive market. And to peek into some of the absurdity that is pockets of our world right now, this comes out 2 weeks after the Energy Secretary, who is leading Britain's clean energy transition, gave a speech in which he told Elon to get the heck out of our politics and our country. As we know, they said Tesla's success is down to the sophisticated approach of the company's auto bidder trading software, as well as its battery's larger storage capacity and location. The auto bidder platform is constantly repricing bids and trying to outcompete the competition in a more dynamic, data-driven way than some of the more classic manual dispatch. Fluctuations in electricity supply are reflected in volatile power prices that battery developers can profit from. from. And this sector is particularly attractive in Britain, given the high proportion of wind and solar power in the country. So I really hope that Energy Secretary has a long look at this chart. The 16 UK batteries from which Tesla trades power account for nearly all of the top performing assets by revenue. Tesla's batteries are the red bubbles and the other are in gray. And outside of 4 other projects, Tesla has all of the top performers. So remember, for battery storage, it is not just about the capacity, it is not just about the modularity, it is not just about installation times, but it's the software and auto bidder and the price arbitrage game that's really driving profits. And serendipitously, Drew Baglino just said AI compute is scaling faster than the grid infrastructure supporting it. At Heron Power, we are rethinking data center power from first principles, leveraging DC architectures inspired by energy storage and renewables to enable gigascale AI. The Cybertruck account said, I can power your home for up to 3 days during an outage. PowerShare Home Backup is now $510 less. Elon shared a big milestone for Starlink, saying, congrats Starlink and Falcon teams on building and launching 10,000 satellites. SpaceX now has several times more satellites in orbit than all others combined. Elon said the Tesla cars operating in the Boring Company tunnels under Las Vegas will be driverless in a month or 2. SC Robinson shared some Tesla semi news, saying DHL just held a supply chain conference in Austin where they showcased the semi, and according to a product lead, they just had a successful trial phase with the semi, and DHL USA is now planning to integrate the semi into their network as Tesla scales production next year. The hit piece on FSD did release in Australia. May Musk said in 08, 60 Minutes did a hit piece on Elon and the Roadster, even adding car noises to the silent sports car. Since then, I realized this program cannot be trusted on any topics. I'm hoping Australians are smarter and don't believe the reporter who obviously had an agenda. Tesla will be hosting an invite-only event for Halloween at the Tesla Diner, but the event is now full. Tesla stock closed the day at $447.43, up 1.85%, while the NDX was up 1.3%. The volume was 33% below the average. Remember, Wednesday this week, the 22nd, is Tesla earnings day. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.